Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us here today and attending this HR Grants and Solutions webinar. So before we start this session, we'll actually do some simple housekeeping first. So we like to introduce this function called the raise hand feature. So if you have any questions along the way or need any help, you can just press the button. So you can find this button under Manage Participants, and you should be able to see a raise hands feature. So if all of you can hear me now, can you press raise hands? Okay, great. I think most of you are getting it, so you can put down your hands now first. Yeah, so if you need any help along the way, just write in the chat. So today I'm here, my name is Yiting, and I'm joined by my teammates, Janice, as well as Aza. So if you have any questions, you can just ask Janice. Her name, you can see Janice bracket JustLogin. You can just privately message her and she'll help you if you have any technical issues along the way. So if you have any questions as well, you can also put it in the chat. We will either answer it or at the end, we also have a 5 minutes Q&A session where we will answer all questions that you have. And no worries, we'll be recording this whole webinar and sending you the link for it after the end of the session. So you don't have to record the whole webinar yourself. And if you miss out anything, you can just catch up on it later. So this session is on HR grants and solution. We will be covering HR challenges, common HR challenges that SMEs face, solutions for them, as well as some key grants that you can use to get these solutions. So now I'll be passing off to Aza, who will be the speaker for today's session. Hi, Aza.
Okay, hi guys. Hi, my name is Aza. I'm a partner manager here at JustLogin. Very happy to see everyone here today. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead with the presentation today. Right, the agenda today for the webinar is actually HR challenges and solutions. We'll be covering the payroll, leave, time and attendance, as well as the grants that is available. We do have the Production and Innovation Credit Grant, the PIC, Innovation and Capability Voucher, ICV, as well as the Work-Life Grant. All right, so without further ado, let's just go into the topic itself for payroll. Okay, for payroll itself, these are some of the payroll functions that most HR personnel need to do. They include CPF calculation and submission, tax submission and IRAs, and of course, as you know right now, MOM requires every company to have an itemized payslip. Some of the challenges that most companies face during doing their payroll would actually be it's actually extremely tedious and time consuming. First, for the bigger companies, this is some of the issues that they face. They also face a lot of room for errors, which means that they could have a problem with calculating your CPF as well as any kind of tax submission as well. Okay. There's also a risk of it being incompliant with MOM regulations, as well as, again, that's what I mentioned to you just now, full of errors when you're doing your payslip. This is an example of how an itemized payslip would look like. As you can see, it covers your entire salary, as well as your OT pays, and any kind of medical claims and allowances, which is statutory right now under MOM regulations. So go on to the next slide. This slide actually explains to you that employers can be fined up to $100 to $200 per employee if they fail to comply. If they carry on to fail to comply, it becomes a criminal offense. If you take a look at it on an SME point of view, if you have about 20 employees over a period of 1 year, that may come up to about $48,000 a year. The grace period for the compliance has actually ended, which was actually on the 31st of March 2017. MOM requires that all payslips must be itemized and must comply with MOM standards. The next slide actually shows the two classic ways of actually doing payroll. The first one on the left, as you can see, is actually using Excel. Again, this is actually there's a lot of human errors in this particular way of doing your payroll. employers may have an issue calculating on your OT hours, as well as any kind of insurance, any kind of CPF or tax deductions or increment. Of course, we also have this desktop payroll software which you may require to have servers, and all these servers requires maintenance, which actually costs money. And of course, there's a cost of upgrades and any kind of consultation fees that if there is any kind of upgrades to this particular system. Moving ahead, we all expect all SMEs to actually be going on to the cloud payroll software, as you can see down here. Every one of the payroll system comes with an individualized homepage. It has historical itemized payslip, as well as a graphical representation of your salaries over a period of 1 year in a particular year. It also shows your payroll on the app itself, as what we have mentioned just now over here. All right. Right. Next, we would like to talk a little bit about the leave system that you have. This is actually how the entire leave application goes by right now. First, it actually starts with the applicant, moves on to the recommending officer, approving officer, and of course to the HR. Some of the challenges that the applicant would face is actually what exactly is my leave balance, whether the leave has been approved or not. And as for the approving or recommending officer, it's whether the employee has submitted his MC or any kind of documentation for them to take leave. And of course, the last but not least is actually on the HR portion, where they actually need to update any kind of leave records, whether is it annual, sick, or any kind of childcare. According to MOM website, these are some of the leaves which is required or statutory. One of it would actually be annual leave, sick leave, and a slew of other kind of leaves such as childcare and shared parental leave. If a company is actually using the e-leave module that we have, other than whatever that you see down here, each one of our leave, each one of the type of leave can be configured in accordance to the kind of leave that your company has. For example, education leave or exam leave, or even birthday leave and maybe no pay leave as well. The next slide actually shows the two different kinds of childcare leave. One is actually from 0 to 6 years old, and the other one from 7 to 12 years old. This slide is actually to explain to employers or employees that the employees can actually update their own childcare leave inside the system by establishing the age of the child. If the age of the child and if it's a citizen, you get between 0 to 6 years old, you get 6 days per year. If it's a non-citizen, it's 2 days. Between 7 to 12, you get 2 days a year, and if it's a non-citizen, it's 0 days. In this particular instance, the employers do not need to keep track of the employees' child birth dates and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty easy for the employees to update this particular system. All right, moving ahead. As you can see in this particular slide, it actually shows the two different kind of traditional leave management system that most employers use at this present moment, or some of the employers use at this present moment. Again, as you can see on the left, Excel file, everything is still being manually updated, be it the annual leave or accrued kind of leave. It's very difficult to manage and handle. If a staff actually asks how many days of leave do I have, they have to extract data from one particular site. Another one of the issues is actually the on-premise leave software, where you have to spend a lot of money on infrastructure. You have to manage the different servers that you have in the company. For example, the direct access server or the DNS server. Companies, smaller SMEs have to spend a lot of money to make it more accessible for staff to actually apply their leave through the internet via the on the internet via the internet, as well as this is actually a very high investment on any kind of company, whether or not it is an SME or not. Now, for a cloud-based leave system, as you can see, it's actually a very interactive system which actually covers how much of a leave balance that this staff actually has. You can actually apply all your leave online via the web or via the app. And you can actually submit MC again via the web or via the app, by taking a photo of their particular MC or any kind of documentations that is required. Of course, we can actually see your leave history as well. As you can see, this is how you actually apply a leave through our app version. It's the same as what you see on your web version. You choose the type of leave from when to when, and you can add an attachment onto that particular kind of leave. All leave approval is actually via email. As you can see down here, the recommending or the approving officer would actually be able to receive an email stating who is one taking a leave on that day. You can actually approve or reject the leave on this day. And you'll be able to see who are the employees who are on leave on these particular days as well. In this instance, as you can see, this person is actually on no pay leave as well. All approval statuses will also be via email. So the applicant will actually be able to receive their approval status via email, whether or not the leave has been approved. You can also see your leave approval and history as an employer. And you can actually delegate the approval to any one of your junior staff, just in case that you're away on leave and you're not able to access the system via web or via app. You'll be able to take any kind of block leave for the staff as well. You will be able to see your personal leave calendar, as you can see over here, and you'll be able to see the entire department and company's leave calendar. And all the public holidays will actually be updated in the system in accordance to MOM regulations on our site. Okay, next topic we're going to talk about real quickly is actually time attendance, which is similar to the time clock system that we have. Statutory requirements say that workers protected by Part 4 of the Employment Act, and this Employment Act actually covers overtime, OT pay, the rest days, as well as public holidays. So who is being covered by this? Who is being covered under Part 4? A workman earning basic salary of not more than $4,500, as well as an employee who is not a workman but is covered by the Employment Act and earns a monthly basic salary of not more than $2,500. So this particular portion, it actually covers on the OT on our site. The two traditional time and attendance solutions that we have is actually on your left, a punch card system, and on your right, a fingerprint system. Many problems actually occur in companies when they use a punch card system, such as they actually do buddy punching in, punching out, which means I can actually ask a friend of mine to help me punch in and punch out without any kind of supervision from my superior. This is actually being solved using the fingerprint system. However, a fingerprint system is extremely costly to set up. It can cost up to about $10,000 or $20,000. It's also extremely hard to set up, which means that you need your employees to be at one location to update all their fingerprints as well. And of course, there's a lot of wiring issues. Do take note, it's also extremely difficult to extract the information from a thumbprint system. And more often than not, all these thumbprint systems can be located at only one location. So imagine if you have multiple of these thumbprint locations around the company, it's going to cost you quite a bomb down there. Our solution to this is actually having a modern time and attendance solution, which actually uses your Android device or your iPhones to actually capture your GPS location, a selfie or a picture, as well as a clock in and clock out timing, which actually covers your timestamp, your date stamp, as well as your location. It actually covers where you are whenever that you are clogging in, clogging out. As you can see here on the map report, you can actually see your staff clogging in at what time, clogging out at what time, and who clogs out at which particular location around Singapore. The time clock system actually covers the monthly roster. You can actually do rostering for your staff on a weekly or even a monthly basis. You can roster them to work at any particular time. It's actually at one glance. You can actually see everything in one window. Now, as you can see from this particular slide, our system is actually mainly based on the payroll system as well itself. However, the leave, time clock, and claim can be bundled into the payroll system. If you take the e-leave system, you can actually make use of our no pay leave portion to actually flow the data into ePayroll. If you take the time clock portion, any data with regards to OT hours can also flow into payroll, as well as any kind of reimbursements coming in from the eClaim. Therefore, making the ePayroll an integrated software for an SME or a company. We are currently mobile workforce ready. We have ePayroll, eLeave, and eTime Clock all in one particular app. It's available in iOS and Android. Of course, you can view itemized payslip. You can apply leave on the go anywhere around the world. And of course, you can clog in and clog out via the GPS and photo capture. All right, we're more or less done on the solution portion. Now we'll come to the more interesting bit, which is actually on grants. Excuse me. Okay, the first thing that we want to talk about is actually productivity and innovation credit, which is actually the PIC. For the PIC is for this particular grant, it is for the acquisition and leasing of PIC IT and automation equipment. It allows a tax deduction or allowance up on 400% on up to $600,000 for SMEs or up to $400,000 for non-SMEs. The cash payout option to convert up to $100,000 of total spending each year assessment in a non-taxable cash payout at a conversion rate of 40%. So in other words, you can claim up to 40%. More importantly, the qualifying conditions. Businesses have to be carrying on an active business operation in Singapore. That's very important. And of course, there is the additional conditions of the cash payout, which is a 3 local employee condition, which means that if you want to take this particular PIC grant, at least 3 of your local staff must be making CPF contributions, as well as PIC IT and automation equipment must be in use when electing for a cash payout, which means that you must be using our ePayroll software, eLeave, or even the eTime Clock software. How do you claim it? Of course, you do not need any prior approval from IRAS. You can claim in income tax return for the relevant year assessment by the filing date. The filing date via paper file is 30th of November. And of course, e-file is by 15th of December. The cash payout is anytime after end of relevant financial quarter. Do take note that the PIC expires in year assessment 2018. And if you fall in this particular category, if your financial year ends in 31st March 2017, I'm so sorry, you're no longer eligible. If it ends in June 30th, 2017, you're still eligible. And of course, 31st December 2017, you're still eligible. So if you're still eligible for this kind of PIC grants, please make sure you're going ahead with it and maximize as much grants as you can moving ahead. The next grant we'd like to talk about is actually the Innovation and Capability Voucher, also known as the ICV voucher. It's actually a very simple to apply, easy to use voucher valued at $5,000 to encourage SMEs to develop their business capabilities, which includes HR integrated solution. We are a pre-approved ICV vendor, which covers ePayroll, eLeave, and eTime Clock for 20 users over a period of 1 year. And this is expiring on the 30th of June 2017. So if you feel that your company is actually looking for ePayroll, eLeave, as well as a time clock software, this is one of the vouchers you may be looking for up to about 20 users for about 1 year. Again, eligibility is you need to be registered and operating in Singapore, a minimum of 30% local shareholding, and of course, a group annual turnover of not more than 100 million or group employment size of not more than 200 employees, which is generally most SMEs here in Singapore. Any kind of other requirements would actually be, this project may not commence prior to submission of application and may not receive any funding from another public sector organization other than PIC itself. Okay, application usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks. And of course, when you claim, it must be within 6 months and also take about 6 to 8 weeks. However, in our experience with most of our clients who have been taking up this ICV, it takes only about 3 or 4 weeks for everything to be completed on the application side. Again, I'd like to reiterate, we are a pre-approved vendor for ICV, which covers e-payroll, e-leave, and e-time clock for 20 users over a period of 1 year. Right, the last grant I'd like to cover today was actually called the Work-Life Grant for FWA, which is actually flexible work arrangements. The two grants are actually the first grant, development grant, which covers up to $40,000, and the FWA incentive, which covers up to $120,000. What it means by FWA, it actually means flexi time, flexi place, and of course part-time work. But I'll go more into it a little bit more. Okay, first, for your development grant, the first $10,000 is actually for you to pilot at least 2 new FWAs or substantially enhancing the current 2 FWAs that you have. The next $10,000 is formalizing these piloted FWAs into HR policy. Some examples of the FWAs include staggered working hours, which means that staff A can actually start work from 9 to 6, or maybe another staff can start to work from 8 to 5. That's an example of a staggered working hours. Aggregated monthly working hours would mean that a staff can actually work 4 hours on Monday, 6 hours on Tuesday, and so on and so forth. As long as the entire month, you actually aggregate the entire monthly working hours. And last but not least, work from home. To work from home, you need to have at least 2 days of working from home. To formalize all these things, you actually need a staff to actually sign a form to say that he wants which kind of FWA he would prefer. Could be staggered, aggregated, or even work from home. All right. Reimbursements for up to 80% for items such as work-life training and work-life consultancy by approved work-life grant consultants and trainers is up to 80% or $20,000 or up to 80%. Also up to 50% for infrastructures supporting the FWAs. And one of the things which actually the development grant can use for our system is actually the e-time clock system. Okay, so basically, JustLogin is actually one of the people who are using this particular software. We are using it as staggered working hours, and we have successfully claimed for this work-life development grant. We actually allow our staff to do staggered working hours as well as working from home. Okay, the next one we'll talk about is the incentive, which is up to $120,000 per company. But this is to encourage long-term implementation of the FWA, which means that you need to carry on this FWAs for about 3 years. It's in tranches of $40,000 per year over a period of 3 years. First of all, employees utilize, it has to be unique Singaporean employees utilizing these FWAs. $10,000 for the first 5 Singaporean employees and $1,500 per additional Singaporean employee. At least 20% of your workforce must, if let's say 20% of your workforce are using this FWA, your total incentive is up to $75,000 or up to $25,000 annually. If 30% of your workforce are using this FWA, the total incentive is up to $120,000 or up to $40,000 a year. All right, that's about it. I'm going to hand over back to Yi-Ting. Yeah, thank you for listening to me, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Azza, for the presentation. So we've covered a summary of the solutions as well as the grants. So if any of y'all are more interested to find out about JustLogin system, we are actually holding another webinar session just next week. So this webinar session will actually be like a guided trial for you. It'll be a very fun, hands-on interactive session. We'll give you an account to play with, and we will guide you through a few steps like running payroll, applying leave, as well as for time clock, clock in and clock out. So you can all do these hands-on during the webinar session. I'll be pasting the link in the chat. And if you're interested, you can just sign up and join us next week. So for now, we'll also be taking in any questions. I'm sure you will have quite a number of questions regarding the grants. So if you have any questions now, feel free to type in the chat and we will be answering you right now. Okay, yes, we will actually be sharing the slides with you. So at the end of the webinar, we'll send you an email with a link to the video recording as well as a PDF version of the slides, so no worries. Anyone have any questions about the grants? Okay, someone asked a question about the ICV. Okay, so for the ICV, the bundle is for 1 year. That's correct. So because ours is actually a software as a service, so which is why there's like a time limit to it. So we will actually be giving, it will be actually be packaged in a way of like a 1 year license. So as long as once the grant is approved, you are able to claim. You don't have to wait for the whole 1 year to be over before you can start claiming it. Okay, Jennifer, for which grant are you talking about? Okay, anyway. Oh, yes, of course. You can just sign on for payroll and leave if you want time clock. However, for the ICV grant, requires you to actually take the time clock as well if you decide to go under ICV. But for PIC, all those, there's no requirement actually. Okay, there are a few other questions sent privately to Janice. So can we apply CDG for this? Unfortunately, we haven't had any cases of applying CDG. And based on experience, CDG takes quite some time for them to come back to you. So not sure if that's the best grant for it. Okay, someone asked about, okay, wait a moment. Okay, if you want to apply for the FWA grant, so you can just approach us, JustLogin first, and then we will help you with it. However, you still have to go directly to the government board for the application of this grant, and the grant officer will be able to give you more advice, because for the FWA work-life grant, it's still rather case-to-case basis. So whatever we have shared with you is based on our experience of what our customers experience in applying it, because we do have customers who have successfully applied the development grant for the e-time clock. And for ourselves, we are also using our own e-time clock system to get the FWA incentive grant. So for that, you can approach us. We'll help you coordinate as well as approach the grants officer. If you are currently using the eLeave system, are you still entitled to applying the bundle for ICV? Yes. So for the ICV, the key thing is that you must get the time clock system. So if you're only using the eLeave system, you still can get the ICV to get time clock as well as payroll. Okay, for the FWA application, any other requirements there are? So this FWA is actually quite complicated. There are other kinds of requirements, so mostly can find it on their website. So if there are a lot of really small details, so if I list them here, it's not really going to be very beneficial. So if you're interested, you can just contact us to find out more. For the work-life grant, does it apply to everyone in the company? So you can choose who you want to give this work-life, this flexible working hours to. As explained by Azhar just now, there'll be different grant limit based on the percentage of the workforce actually under this FWA. For example, if up to 20% or up to 30%. But you can only claim for Singaporean employees. So I don't think intern is considered, because for the Singaporean employees, they must actually be in with the company for the whole calendar year. So let's say if they are in your company but they leave the company in December, you also cannot claim for that particular employee. Okay. If you're using HRIQ, if you shift from another system, is that all the data can be transferred. So our onboarding staff can actually help you with it. Okay, so currently we are also having this special promotion. If you are shifting from another payroll or HR system to JustLogin, we are having a special switch promotion, which you can find out more if you contact us. Do you have any other questions? Okay, so we'll stay with you here for another maybe 5 minutes in case anyone still have questions to ask. But before any of y'all leave, may I ask you to please help us fill up this webinar survey feedback form, just to give us some feedback so we know what we can improve for our future webinar session. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, and we'll still be here for around the next 5 minutes to maybe 3:45 if anyone has any questions.